Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Charles Anya-Golden. Now, Democrats in the United States have strongly condemned Donald Trump's tax arrangements after the New York Times reported that the president had paid no federal income tax at all in 10 of the 15 years before he took office. The newspaper alleges that Mr. Trump, a self-proclaimed billionaire, paid just $750 in income tax in 2016, the year he won the presidency. The paper says it has obtained tax records for Mr. Trump and his companies over 2 decades. Mr. Trump, though, has been quick to hit back, calling the reports fake news. Well, for more on the New York Times allegations about President Trump's tax arrangements and the fallout from those revelations, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise special correspondent Karl Bostic. Good to see you, Karl. And the president has been characteristically robust in his response to this report, hasn't he?
That's right, Charles. I mean, again, this is maybe the equivalent of a September surprise, only 37 days before the election. And I mean, if anything, Charles, what it shows, it really kind of brings to surface now all of those questions that people always had. Why hasn't he declared his taxes? Did he ever pay income taxes? Is he as wealthy as he claims to be? And is he maybe a compromise to other people? Well, a lot of those questions have already been answered, but still remain, to be seen in other things. But
right.
let's for a moment, Charles, let's just put things in context. The Washington Post this morning put it very aptly in the way in which it characterized just how would you compare what he paid. If we can look at this slide that we have of the Washington Post this morning, where it talks about how much, it says President Trump paid less in taxes his first 2 years in office than he has charged the U.S. Secret Service per room for a weekend at one of his properties, Charles, which costs $650 a night.
Right.
So weekend would exceed that. So that's stunning right there. But then, Charles, let's also consider this. He's saying that it shows that he's a smart businessman or whatever, but he's a U.S. president of the United States. Why should he be exempt from what other presidents have done? Let's just take a quick look. The Washington Post reporter compared other presidents in previous years, how much they paid in income taxes. So we also have another slide to show you of how much presidents paid. If we can look at what other presidents paid, I think we have another slide there. Past presidents ranging from, if we can look at that slide, ranging from Clinton, Barack Obama.
Right. I don't think that's quite dropped yet, but you can tell us about it.
Well, okay. At any rate, here where we see that are the financial troubles that he has, which explains why he didn't want to release. He wasn't as wealthy as he claimed to be. He lost there's $72 million reimbursement that he got that now the IRS is not so sure about. That could not be legitimate. And there's what's really more troubling, Charles, more than $300 million in loans will come due in the next 3 to 4 years that he had personally vowed to pay himself over the next 3 to 4 years. That may be one reason why he wants to stay in office, stay in power. Because can you imagine the scenario of having your assets or properties foreclosed while you're in office?
Yeah, that would be something, wouldn't it?
So exactly, and I think we have a list of those presidents. If we can show you just how other presidents dwarf in their payments to the Internal Revenue Service. If we can show you other presidents, for example, well, here we have tax losses. In here, apparently he's been losing every year. He has 15 golf courses around the world. He's lost $315 million, Charles. The Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C., which opened in 2016, he's lost $55 million. And the Trump Corporation, which manages his real estate services, that's another $134 million. So he's used these losses to justify paying no taxes.
Right. Well, let's just move on from this because obviously the graphic you were looking for is not there. But Mr. Trump's Democratic rivals have been quick to pounce on this New York Times report. And it's bound to be a major issue when he and Joe Biden hold their first TV debate tomorrow.
Well, for example, the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris campaign was swift to respond. They put out their own ad, condemning this, that's been posted on social media, that's just garnering a lot of views. If we can look at what the Biden campaign has put out, we should have a very short video clip to show you right there. That was put out by Team Joe, as the Biden campaign is called. Charles, is this. What's going to resonate in voters' minds from now until Election Day is just a simple figure, $750. Many ordinary working Americans, even those without a job or have dependents or children, they pay much, much more than $750.
And just to come back to that point you were making about the different presidents where the graphic didn't appear, the paper, New York Times, compared, I think we've got it up there now. Is that what you were?
Yes, I mean, this is really striking. Ronald Reagan, in his first year in office, paid $165,000 in taxes. George H.W. Bush, $101,000. Bill Clinton, $62,000. George W. Bush, $250,000. Barack Obama, Charles, $1.7 million in taxes his first year in office. That's about 50,000 times the amount that Donald Trump paid. And finally, Donald Trump with $750. I mean, the thing about it is this, Charles. One of his selling points to the American people that voted for him is that he was a savvy businessman who knew how the system worked, who knew how the elites, businessmen like him, were, quote, gaming the system, and he would fix it. Well, he seemed to only fix it for himself and his properties, and that's part of the problem right there.
Right. Well, the key thing now, because we've got about a couple of minutes before we have to go, is whether this is going to hurt Mr. Trump politically.
I think, in short, tomorrow night will be very interesting in the sense that it will now just simply give Joe Biden more ammunition. If one of the positives that Donald Trump had was his ability to manage the economy because of his success as a businessman. Well, this puts paid to that. And this now just simply gives Joe Biden more ammunition. But very simply put, going into tomorrow night's debate, Charles, the sides are pretty much already embedded, already hardened in terms of who's going to vote for Trump, who's going to vote for Biden. Charles, what's interesting, already 1 million votes have been cast through the mail. Already 1 million votes there. I think if there's anything that'll make a significant difference, it's going to be those unwavering, undecided voters, especially the blue-collar voters in states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those post-industrial Rust Belt states, blue-collar workers who maybe don't have a college education, and they're seeing that they're paying more in taxes than a so-called billionaire tycoon. And they may feel very disturbed by that, if not upset.
Yeah, no, I can well imagine. I mean, what is the reason, though, that Mr. Trump has paid so little taxes, assuming this article is true?
Well, very simply, he's able to make a lot of deductions for losses because he claimed to make all these losses, as I showed you. But also, what's really in doubt, Charles, is that he's made a lot of money from foreign companies. If we can show another slide about how much he's gotten from foreign revenues, if we can see those figures, Charles, we can see that the foreign revenues, he received $73 million, most of it from his resorts in Scotland and Ireland. I would add, Charles, a lot of that was U.S. government business passing through, like flights from Afghanistan and Iraq. $3 million from the Philippines, $2.3 from India, $1 million from Turkey. What's really interesting, Charles, is this. He paid more in taxes to Philippines, Turkey, and India those years, as much as $145,000 to India in that same year compared to $750. So there is that dynamic right there. But again, going back to your question, he's also in potential serious legal trouble because besides the more than $300 to $400 million that's owed in loans that he personally pledged.
Well, about 10 seconds.
Okay, there's also additional claims that are now questionable that he's got to account for. So that's another reason why he wants to stay in power, because he's going to be in legal trouble if he's out of office.
Karl, thank you very much indeed. Karl Bostic, our special correspondent there. That's it for this edition of the Arise interview. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and the United States, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.